Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology. Whoops. Okay, it's been that type of day. I apologize. Hello, take two. Click. Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys to having a successful life. And it's freedomthroughastrology.com. I am your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information, copyrighted, standard YouTube, copyright, etc. And we're giving you the keys. It's what my little catch line is there. So I want to give you the keys to understanding these readings and how I'm working with them. First of all, I'm using constellational astrology, also known as true astrology, true sidereal astrology. It's astrology by the visible sky. This is how the ancients practiced it. And the more I've dug into it, this is how I believe the ancients practiced astrology. They used the visible sky. Nothing was fixed. Everything moved because, well, it does. I'm using the natural size of the constellations. Virgo is huge at almost just over 48 degrees. Scorpio, Libra are under 25. There are astrologers who make them all the same size. Nope, not. There are astrologers who don't have cats running in the way of all their presentations, too. So there are astrologers that make each sign the same size. That comes out of the Vedic tradition. I use natural sign size. I use the astrological midpoints because the boundaries that are used in many programs are the IAU boundaries, and they seem arbitrary. Athan Shimenti came up with a midpoint system where he looks at the zodiac belt, constellation A. Here is the last star in the zodiac belt. Here's the constellation B. Here's the first one, and there's the kitten again, and the kitten is now the midpoint. Okay, he wants to be on the video. This is the parkour kitten. He likes jumping around everywhere. So I use midpoints and I use 13 signs as well. The 13th sign is a fucus. It's the sign of the wounded healer. It's where I'm getting wounded by claws into my back. It's where you've been wounded so that you can heal others. Um, 1 second. Ow. Okay. But it's where you've been. In ancient times there were 13 signs, just trust me on that. And it was taken out. 13, the sign of the divine feminine, a whole bunch of other stuff dealing with the patriarchy, yada. But I use 13 signs. It's there. If you check the NASA, they've written articles about how, yes, there is a sign between Scorpio and Sagittarius. Don't blame us, they don't want to get involved, but they're still involved. I'm reading the weekly transit. So these are the universal lessons for everyone. So this will be a planet in a sign. And I interpret using evolutionary astrology. These are lessons to learn. So this isn't you getting stuck in a rut. This planet is doing this to this planet. This is what's going to happen to you. I'm offering you, ideally, the lessons that you can learn and what you're going to be facing and how you can become a better person by working through that transit. My dates are all based on the Eastern US time zone, whatever in the world that happens to be right now. And I'm using 1 degree of exact. That makes it easier for me to manage, a little bit more clear, because if I used a wider, what's called orb, or made it wider than 1 degree, there would be so much going on. I would feel overwhelmed and you could get lost. So, with that being said, pull this up just a touch. This is the transit report for September 16th through September 22nd, 2024. The moon, we have it in Aquarius through Taurus, which not a whole lot. It's going to spend a lot of time this week in Pisces. So it's actually the moon is going to be very stable in that respect. So do be open to inspiration. And we will have a full moon, partial eclipse in Pisces on Tuesday. And there's a whole lot more that I can add to that title because it's a super moon and a harvest moon. There's a ton of stuff. But there will be a partial eclipse on the full moon on Tuesday. Active this week on the inner planets, the sun, your core identity, and Mercury, how you learn and communicate. And the inner planets, those are the two biggies. We will be finishing up the Mars T-square, the nodes, but as far as new transits, your core identity and how you learn and communicate are going to be center stage. And on the outer planets, Pluto planet of transformation, and not dwarf planet, it's a real planet. Okay, it's pretty decent sized. It has an atmosphere. Um, it has 5 moons. Okay, granted, the one moon is almost as big as it, but Pluto is the core planet. Okay, the moon orbits Pluto, not the other way around. So Pluto, it is a planet in my book. All hail Pluto. Um, we're still, like I said, dealing with Mars T-squaring the nodes. Sign change. Mercury does enter Virgo. We now have 3 of the 4 inner planets in Virgo. The Sun, Mercury, and Venus will all be in Virgo by the end of the week. So improvement and becoming better. Retrograde, Saturn, Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and Chiron, all retrograde. So your growth and maturity, your individuality, your spirituality, your transformation, and how you're healing, they're all take time to reflect on them when they do come up. And this is our, pull this down a little bit. This is our overview for the week. And as you can see, I do have the days of the week here. We have the moon, and Monday is in Aquarius, Independence. Tuesday through into Friday, it is in Pisces. So be open to inspiration. It'll be there. Friday gets in, the moon does get into Aries, and Taurus really late. It does get into Taurus actually on Saturday. I forgot to correct that, but it does get into Taurus on Saturday. So Saturday and Sunday, you being emotionally stable, a good thing. But yes, Taurus is actually on Saturday. My mistake on this slide. Oh well. Tuesday, we do have the full moon, lunar eclipse, etc. And as you can see, we do begin the week with, it's been a day. These solar flares were giving me headaches all day, and I'm finally just getting the pain manageable. But Monday and Tuesday, we finish up the transits from last week, and Tuesday we begin new transits. And as you can see, they are fairly well spread out, and we don't get anything really intense until the weekend. That's the 2 Pluto transits on Saturday and Sunday, with the Sun and Venus actually aspecting Pluto, and those will be done, I believe, next on the 23rd, Monday the 23rd, if I remember right. But as you can see, I mean, it's fairly steady, and as we look, 1, 2, 3, 4. With the Sun, your identity is going to be in the forefront this week, and learning information about who you really are. And I said Mercury, here's 2 Mercury transits, and Mercury does enter Virgo as well on Sunday. So a lot of heavy energy, I'm going to say, over the weekend, and changes happening over the weekend. So let me get my notes here. So just as a little rehash, the Sun did enter Virgo on September 15th. So again, you becoming a better version of you. I think that's important. That's, you learning about who you really are and becoming a better version of you. I mean, that's the only person you really can be. I don't have this in my notes, so I'm just spinning this off the top of my head. But be careful, because the Sun, can be egotistical. Shadow of the Sun is being egotistical. And in Virgo, the shadow of Virgo is its own worst enemy. It can hold itself up to impossible standards, be nitpicky, be perfectionist. So an egotistical perfectionist, ugh. Or the Sun can refuse to shine and try to hide. And just that pessimism, why bother trying, So do be careful of that. Do be advised of that. Virgo is the largest constellation in the sky at like 48 plus degrees. So all of September and in through a good chunk of October, we are going to be in Virgo. So there we go. We do have Mars in this T-square to the nodes. So squaring the north node. Now Mars in Gemini, let's establish what happens here. When it's in a T-square, literally it's kind of caught between a rock and a hard place. Ideally, what happens is I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me explain the bits and pieces and then. So Mars in Gemini is having the courage to learn and communicate. That is the key. Are you having the courage to learn and communicate? And in the North Node, squaring the North Node, the challenge here is to find inspiration. So have the courage to learn and see life from a higher perspective, finding inspiration, be open to higher experiences, insights that appear out of nowhere. Squares can be challenging. When people hear squares, they think, oh my God, difficulty. Squares are about building strength, and they're stepping stones. You know, if I took you to the gym and I gave you 2.5 pound weights and I had you lifting weights, doing all these exercises only with 2.5 pound weights, you would never build any strength. You might build a little tone, but never any strength. You add the heavier weights to build strength, and that's what squares are about building strength. Because if you look at the pyramids, and I will say this, you know, use this as my favorite example. Everybody thinks the pyramids are strong because they're triangles. When you get up close, they're built on squares. And it's that tension that keeps them strong. So this is tension that's designed, and its intention is to strengthen you. So ideally, you're being strengthened in your inspiration. You're being challenged to tap into your inspiration and intuition and learn from it. And then we have the square in the square in the south node. The south node. My brain. This has been my brain today. I've referred to these notes so many times. It's not funny. South node is making you aware of old patterns and how you hold yourself back in life. And literally how you self-sabotage. I think there's 2 words that describe the south node best describe the south node. Self-sabotage would be it. And in Virgo, it's unrealistic expectations and perfection. So in Mars, having the courage to learn, but then there's these unrealistic expectations. How am I supposed to do that? This is impossible. So literally, you know, the challenge here is for you to realize, you know, this is the old self. You're being challenged, and this is what they call a waning square. So as Mars approaches, it's releasing this. So the challenge for you is to release the unrealistic expectations and build strength through finding inspiration. So that's literally the rock and a hard place that Mars is caught in. So what is Mars? You know, so you've got this courage to learn. Are you seeking the higher inspiration, or are you holding yourself back with unrealistic expectations? Make a choice. Sunday, Venus in opposition to Chiron, retrograde in Pisces. So Venus in Virgo is about becoming better in your relationships and also your creativity. Venus does govern the arts. And Chiron is about healing. And in retrograde, it's reflecting on that. And in Pisces, it's being able to transcend the wounds, even release them. So take time to reflect. Are you healing? You know, are you forgiving in the relationships where forgiveness is needed? Are you able to release relationships that maybe don't need that, you know, you need to let go of? I mean, that can be very important too. Are you able to see relationships from a different perspective, see the wounds and see what happened that maybe caused the wound from a different perspective, and find healing? So what do I have here? Venus, reflect on the work being done to heal relationships. Look at it from a higher perspective. Also to release the wounds when possible. Know that love and trust can be healed and it can take time. Be open to miracles when they are offered. You know, I like to say, you know, like Pisces can be spiritual. You know, miracles are going to happen. Pisces or Neptune usually is involved in some way, shape, manner, or form. It can be, I should say. But yeah, be careful because, again, Virgo, perfectionist, you know, holding yourself to unrealistic expectations, having things planned out where you do this and to the, you know, with the person and it blows up and turns into something else. It can lead to deeper wounding. So be careful of that. Be careful of causing more wounds unintentionally or unintentionally. And also having a fantasy that wants to believe that everything is perfect and nothing at all is wrong. You know, there's, you know, or that maybe forgiveness happened when it really didn't. You know? So pay attention to what is happening. What in the world is this? Oh, that's interesting. Put the annotation tool there. Oh, cool. Just updated my Zune and I'm still discovering new features or bugs, whatever you want to call them. Also on Sunday, the moon entered Aquarius. The moon, your emotional self, needing to feel a little free and let go. Let go of the need to feel, of the need to be approved by others and how you're feeling. Look for different ways to express who you are and express your feelings. Can be very important. Acting up, acting out, selling out just has others seeing less of you and you being less of who you really are. And expressing less of who you really are. And that's where we're starting the week. So on Monday, take a breath. Inhale deeply, hold. Remember to exhale, please. I don't remember who it was that sent me that email. I think I deleted it too. I shouldn't have. But yes, do remember to exhale. Tuesday, let's see. One of our Mercury transits. Mercury and Sun are going to be busy this week. But Mercury in Leo is in an opposition to Saturn retrograde in Aquarius. God, it's been a day. I apologize. But Mercury in Leo, expressing your knowledge, sharing what you know, learning to, listening, communicating, learning on the stage, and in reflection to Saturn in Aquarius. And Saturn retrograde in Aquarius is you reflecting on, are you growing and being your authentic self? And have you been your authentic self? So the reflection here is, are you sharing who you really are? I think that's the key point here. Are you sharing who you really are? Are you growing in who you are? And are you sharing that to the world? Look at how you're expressing yourself. Are you being true to who you really are? Pay attention, and because that's going to show you where you can improve and get better. I think a lesson of Saturn is maturity and growth. How can you become more authentic? And then how can you share that with the world? Be careful of defending who you know you aren't. The shadow of Saturn in Aquarius is you becoming, either this wild rebel or selling out to fit in. That's not the aim here. Or just not defending yourself at all and being controlled and used by others. I mean, it's you sharing who you really aren't is missing this transit, and you will become less of a person. I'll be just going to leave it at that. On Tuesday, the moon will enter Pisces. Be open to fresh vision and inspiration for your life. And opportunities for spiritual growth and inspiration, especially with the moon closing in on Neptune there. So you do be open to inspiration, be open to ideas, things coming to you from outside. In Pisces, take time to be by yourself. Make sure, emotionally, for your emotional health, do take time alone every day. With the moon going through Pisces, my personal belief is that is a good practice. Watch out for total withdrawal or withdrawing into fantasies or numbing yourself to reality, or being in total denial of spirituality as well. That's the other shadow of this. But just becoming this total space case or shutting down inspiration altogether, missing the point. And then we have, whoops, I didn't realize that mouse did that. Oh. And we have the full moon in Pisces on Tuesday night. Depending on the weather, we may actually be able to see this. The last eclipse we had was kind of clouded over. It is a partial eclipse because the moon and the north node and the sun and the south node, they're a little over 11 degrees out of sync. So they're not exactly conjunct. There's about 11 degrees of separation. So it's only going to be a partial eclipse. But the sun in Virgo in conjunct the south node, and it is wide conjunction, but it is there. How are you holding yourself back with unrealistic expectations? Be aware of that. That's what the sun conjunct the south node in Virgo is. That's what the lesson is to me. And the north node, again, like I said, wide conjunction, very wide conjunction at that. Really what's anchoring that together is Neptune, so inspiration. and being, so that whole message up there is being open to inspiration and being reflect and being able to receive inspiration. So be aware of how you're holding yourself back and reflect on how you receive inspiration and be open to that higher inspiration. And how can that help you release these unrealistic expectations? I think that's the best way. Um, yeah, reflect on those, reflect on what's holding you back and release those unrealistic expectations so that you can move and grow into more of being your authentic self. Um, and just and doubling down on those, and the sun can be egotistical, like I said, and in Virgo, oh God. That egotistical perfectionist, everything has to be done right. And the moon conjunct Neptune in Pisces and all that working with the North Node and just completely falling into fantasy and escape land. To me, that's a recipe for disaster. This can become a tug of war where they're, like, I have to be better. No, you're supposed to be inspired, and that can totally ruin you. Or you can just completely collapse into this fantasy, this perfectionist fantasy that you can control everything and everything's going to be all right. Um, or that you should just give up because why bother trying? Let's face it, the sun not deciding the opposite of being egotistical is it's just giving away all your power and saying why bother in Virgo, why bother trying because you can't do it anyways, and just giving up on growth and falling into and just numbing yourself to the pain. That's the other shadow. That's a disaster. There is a lot of many other transits happening. I am looking ideally tomorrow to have some time and just do a video on this. That'll probably be my afternoon or evening project. Wednesday, Sun in Virgo trine Uranus in Taurus. So, like I talked about that, Sun in Virgo, you improving who you are. And trine is an easy energy to work with, and you're working with who? Uranus, becoming more authentic and finding peace, stability, Taurus, strength, and being your authentic person. So is what you're learning and the work you're doing to become your better version of you, is it more authentic to you? And with it being a trine is an easy energy to work with. So this could be a very easy lesson for you to be able to become more of your authentic self and find strength in it as well. So look at how you're being and how you're sharing yourself. Yeah, and are you being real to who you are? Uh, be careful because the shadow, I've talked enough about the sun in Virgo, but yeah, the shadow of Uranus can be that wild rebel without a cause or a clue. And we all see the people who dress outlandishly or do things to get a reaction from other people. That's one shadow of Uranus. The other shadow is that total sellout and conformist and trying to fit in. And neither one of them actually, and in Taurus, people can just it can be because they're trying to be lazy and it's the easy way out, or it can be them acting out their own version of a bull in a china shop. But watch out for not being for who you really are, whether it's sticking out like a sore thumb or trying to blend into the crowd. It's just not going to work, and you're going to feel like a failure. I think it's the best way to say that. Thursday, opposition city this week, I swear. The sun in Virgo in opposition to Neptune in Pisces. So again, sun in Virgo, you becoming the better version of you. Opposition, this is a time to reflect on Neptune, your spirituality. How are you practicing your spirituality? Are you learning to be present and just be? I think that's the most important lesson for you and working with Neptune is learning to be present and learning to be in the moment. Are your spiritual practices, and I'm saying spiritual, not religion, your personal practices and how you connect with the divine, are you learning just to be? And are you getting better at it? Are you ever going to be perfect? No, let's be honest. But you can get better, and it's reflecting on that. Are you learning to be present and in the moment? I think that's the best way of saying this. So take time to reflect on your spiritually. are your next steps for growth. Pay attention to spiritual teachers or events that can provide inspiration. It's possible for something to. Um, be careful of falling into the delusion that you know it all, or that you're just feeling overwhelmed because of all the different choices. That is the other side. Or the other one I like to say is denial. Nothing the matter with doubt. Doubt is perfectly fine, but total denial, there is no spirituality. We just go through this life, and when it's done, it's done. Denial of the spirit. And there are people, that's your journey, fine. But being in denial and not being present, living in the past, living in the future, ick. That is just going to make a mess out of things. Friday. On my blog, I have this out of order, but here I have it in the right order. The moon enters Aries on Friday. Courage, emotional courage. Feeling courageous, facing situations where fear can be felt. Yeah, accept the challenge and know that you're up to it and know that you can handle it. Be careful because of Aries is, I say it's facing your fears, but you can give into that. And the over and under of fear, it can either explode as anger or fall into total cowardice. So watch out for how the fear shows itself, and know that you can face it. If it's facing anger, you know that you can calm down and have the courage to work through it. If it's falling into cowardice, know that you can stand up and that you have this emotional strength to do what needs to be done. And our next Mercury situation. Mercury squaring Jupiter in Taurus. So Mercury is still in Leo, learning how to express, and the opportunity, facing the challenge, having the challenge of it to express yourself, and the opportunities when they do show up. So do accept the challenge of learning that you have something important to say and learn how to say it. It can be strengthening. So accept that opportunity. It can be very important. Be careful of either of talking too much, not listening, and overconfidence. Shadow Jupiter can be overconfident or underconfident. So the overconfidence and then you not listening to other people and blathering and talking over them, going to lead to a bad situation. This is the square turning into crush mode. Or the other one, Mercury not wanting to talk and just clamming up and not sharing, so it can't be appreciated. And Taurus, the other shadow of Jupiter is underconfidence and just trying to hide away and be lazy. And maybe if I don't do anything, I don't have to worry about it. That's a disaster, and that's a bad thing. So be careful of endless and inflated chatter about how great you are or why you can't achieve, or going off about why you can't achieve. And those are both bad situations. And Saturday, one of our Pluto transits. We get some. Pluto is the busy planet of the weekend. All hail Pluto. It's a planet in my book. And like I said, Sun in Virgo, you're working on improving yourself. And Pluto retrograde in Sagittarius, reflecting on your values and your belief systems and changing your belief systems. And so this is you doing the work of changing your belief systems and releasing beliefs that no longer serve you. Do the work of letting things go that just don't mean the same thing to you anymore. The shoes don't fit, you stop wearing it. If the clothes are too tight, you let them go. Buy new clothes. You're looking to get in shape, whatever, yada. But this here is about improving yourself by letting go of beliefs that no longer serve you. And with it being in a trine, you put in a little effort and it can go a long way, and it can help you. It can actually have a quote unquote easy success. The shadow here is living out, it's just trying to cling on to those older beliefs, and that can cause deeper wounds and deeper problems, and trying to live them out and still trying to make them fit. It's just not, it would be like me trying to wear unfortunately, this is kind of weird, but I still have clothes from high school that I can fit into. But some of those jeans are a little too tight, and I know if I put them on and I bent down, we would hear that infamous split. That's kind of what this is like. You know, you try the sun in Virgo, the shadow there is that perfectionism and still trying to live out values that no longer serve you. They no longer fit. They no longer work. Forcing it out, or just being pessimistic and thinking that you can't change it all and it's too impossible. And falling into that, and that just creates wounds and more crises. And later on Saturday, if one Pluto transit is enough, we get two. And this is relationships. And again, proving your relationships and also creativity. And we'll talk about that just a little bit. But Venus is, your ability to work with others and be with other people and becoming better. You improving you. You trying to improve everybody else is the shadow. The goal here is for you to improve you. And the challenge here, what values are you letting go of? This is a waxing, this is the waxing square. So this is Venus releasing values, relationships values that no longer serve you, unrealistic expectations that are just not ever going to be met. Let them go. Dust them off, let them go, bid them goodbye. The challenge of working out your relationships is they can be changing. Relationships can change. Who and what you value. Friendships may change, and that's an okay thing. It's kind of a part of life. And I did talk about this. Venus and Virgo, it's not about you telling other people how they can get better. This is about you getting better. And Pluto in Sagittarius, it's about changing values. It's, not wanting to change, not wanting to release them, and causing deeper wounds in yourself. And so be careful of wounding relationships more deeply by holding yourself or others to unrealistic expectations. Or, people change, and you're trying to still have the relationships be as they were in the past. Gonna create problems. So let that, it's about letting that go. And it's the challenge of letting go of old values in relationships that just no longer work. And on Saturday, the moon will be entering Taurus, which will be nice because this is about emotional stability. And granted, it will transit Uranus, so yeah, a little excitement there. You being authentic to yourself, feeling what you're really feeling. But emotional peace, find time to calm down and getting grounded can help you, especially in dealing with those Pluto transits. So find time to get yourself grounded, get yourself some peace and quiet. It can be very stabilizing. Be careful of being stubborn or getting stuck in a rut. Getting stuck in these emotional ruts is a bad thing. And finally, on Sunday, Mercury, God, it's been a day, sorry. Mercury enters Virgo, improving your ability to learn and communicate. I think that's the best way of saying it. You can always learn more and learn better ways of doing it. Take a learning styles inventory. There's many different ways. You learn how you learn best and learn how you communicate. What is your best way of communicating? Learn how to do that and work on improving that as well. Learn how to focus your attention. Pay attention to those who are skilled, and then what can you learn from them? Look at good communicators. How do good communicators communicate? Learn, there are people, like I said, take that learning styles inventory. Learn how you learn and work with it. It's incredible what can happen. The shadow. Thinking that you're perfect and being able to talk people's ears off about how you know best. Oh God, been there, done that. Got too many recordings. Also, just going through the motions and being bored, that'd be another shadow. Or thinking that you can't learn. Virgo can be that pessimist. Like you can't, it's thinking that it's impossible to learn and too difficult to learn, and why bother trying? So feeling overwhelmed. And if at the end you learned nothing new, this transit has been lost. So there we go. I apologize if this hasn't been one of my better forecasts, but like I said, yes, there were solar flares yesterday and today, especially late yesterday and today. And I really I'm getting sent for some reason. I've been sensitive to them, and they floored me with a headache, and I could not do anything. today. It's taken me all day just to get out of bed. So if you like what you're reading, what you're hearing here and seeing, follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And remember, these ones here are all collecting your data, making billions of dollars. And unless you meet certain criteria, you ain't getting anything. And quite honestly, what does get shared with content creators versus stockholders, etc., it's quite not fair. But nonetheless, but there is an alternative. It's called the digital soul space. So there's digital soul space. It's free now. Donations appreciated. And they have astrology. They have tarot, different oracle cards, crystals, different spiritual traditions, mediumship, all sorts of different things. Very interesting. It's wide open. It's very interesting. And they have 3 moderators who volunteer a lot of their time, keeping it being a troll-free zone. So it's incredible. Your privacy is first. You won't believe the hoops that they have to go through just to email you. That's how serious Mighty Networks is about protecting your privacy and protecting your data. So it is an alternative. I like showing people their choices. So there you go. Follow me on social media, follow. I do post stuff. Let me see, I have to escape. And then I go to Google. Here we go. Do you like what you see? Go to freedomthroughastrology.com. There's my page. Scroll through. And like I say, giving you the keys. If you want to see how your chart changes, schedule a quick 6 reading. I'll give you a nice recording of that. If you want to understand your keys, understanding your birth chart, first thing I recommend. Second is a past life or a karmic reading for people who believe in past lives. I can tell you what the trauma was and how you can heal it in this lifetime. There are people who are one and done. This is a special lesson. Quick pick combines them 2 into 1. Second key, the horoscopes. I help you understand like where you are, what your astrological age is. This is strictly dealing with the outer planets for the life cycle reading and where you are and the lessons you're facing. The yearly horoscope, major transits that affect you for many months and are long. Then I do quarterly and monthly. For monthly, I like to do new moon to new moon because that's where the word month comes from. Moon. In ancient times, the lunar cycle dictated the month. And there are 13 new moons in a year, by the way. And then I have packages. If you buy a package, you're getting more readings, and there's a 10% discount built in. So there we go, 3 of them. And depending on what you buy, there's that. If you scroll up to the top here and you see the subscribe button, you click on that, you can subscribe to my weekly newsletter where I give you like an overview of the week, a little astrological insight, and then if I'm doing discounts or anything, that's where you'll find them. If you click on blog, I do have a daily horoscope. I do try to do what I call a daily deep dive where I take a planet or transit and I dig deeper into it and explain it. This week has been very busy for me, so I didn't get to do that as much as I'd like to. But I do the weekly forecasts here. I do daily horoscopes, just to give you an overview. And I do dig into some deeper transits in the dailies. And if you click on scheduling, this is where you can schedule. And if you order a reading from me, what you get, first of all, is a recording. So do give yourself 3 to 5 days. Give me 3 to 5 days before you schedule the meeting, because you're going to get it gives me time to make the recording, gives you time to watch it at least once, ideally twice, and you get questions. And then when we get together for our meeting, instead of listening to me talk at you, you've got your questions and we can explore your chart deeper. So there you go. There you book an appointment. Close this. No, I should go back here. No, nuts. I did that, didn't I? Where we are. There we are. Slideshow. Oh, come on. It's been that type of a day. So follow, share, sign up for the newsletter. And remember, in the visible sky, your life does change. So when you align with the visible sky, you can only get better. Thank you very, very much for watching this. I apologize for not being my best, but it's been a day from those solar flares. Have yourself a good week.